Finally, after such a long vigil, long grind in the domestic circuit, at the age of 30, Rajat Patidar finally got his chance to make his test debut for India. Now you have to understand that Patidar's journey, it came amidst a lot of backdrop, amidst a lot of clamoring for the other Indian players. Take a look at this. What was the dominant factor in the lead up to Vizag? Whether Rajat Patidar plays or whether Sarfaraz Khan bolts ahead of him. The situation with Patidar only opened up because Virat Kohli was not there for the first two tests. That's why he could make it in the squad. But on the other hand, he managed to get his test debut because KL Rahul and if you look at Ravindra Jadeja, both had an injury. It was because of this that it became a choice between Rajat Patidar / Sarfaraz Khan. Now many people are saying, why is the injustice happening so much for Sarfaraz Khan? What more he needs to do? Patidar at the age of 30 years and 246 days, he's gotten the India cap. Now, understand one major difference in this. Rajat Patidar scoring 4,000 runs for Madhya Pradesh, which is a domestic laggard, perhaps carries much more weight than 3,900 runs scored by Sarfaraz for Mumbai. Mumbai is the behemoth of Indian domestic cricket. So the runs, probably if you look at it for the position that he is in, Patidar would have had to come in. And when he got the cap, it was a proud moment. But having toiled through for so many years, how does it feel for Rajat Patidar to finally make it? He had a very funny, optimistic and a realistic answer which many people will want to take into account, and they should take it into account, because the question was asked, how does it feel that you waited for so long for this Indian cap? He had a bit of a practical answer, because Rajat Patidar stated, waiting for a debut, waiting for so long for a debut is common in Indian cricket. There are a lot of players. I mean, look at it. When Virat Kohli, KL Rahul, Ravindra Jadeja, Sarfaraz Khan all came into the fray, then and only then Patidar made it, because he was with the Indian cricket team for a longer period of time, from December. When he made his debut in South Africa and when he was called up to the squad, you knew that Patidar would get a chance somewhere, or he would just be in the squad. At the age of 30, playing for India, I do feel good. There was relief in Rajat Patidar's voice. Because remember, not many people get rewarded for their domestic performances. Just ask Sarfaraz Khan. Look at the way how Rajat Patidar stepped up and hit a rather solid 32. It was more of a 50-50 kind of a knock. I mean, he looked assured against the spinners. He was beaten on occasions. The nerves played a part. The way how he got out was very unfortunate. But Patidar said, the waiting game, he understands because of the talent pool that is there in the Indian cricket setup. How could you argue for the places that are there? How could you argue for the players against it? So that is why waiting for so long is common in Indian cricket. There are a lot of players. This one statement, I think, once again outlines the fact that you have to be patient. It's not an Indian cricket team where 100 places are available. Out of a billion, only 11 players can come in. 16 if you are very unlucky, or lucky in that sense. The fight is really 0.001% chance. And Patidar at least is lucky, and he's relieved by the fact that he's got it. Now, there seems to be a current swag in the Indian cricket team at this point in time that, oh, it's your debut, there should be pressure, right? Everybody who's coming in because of the IPL that they have played, because of the domestic fixtures that they have played in, they seem to feel no pressure, which at this point seems good, but in higher situations, when the situation is much more complicated, India would crumble. So Rajat Patidar, when asked the question, did he feel nerves on his debut? He stated, going out to bat, there was nothing like pressure. He did admit there's nothing like pressure. I have played a lot of domestic matches on this track. The 2 tons versus England Lions was very crucial. Now understand this one thing. He had scored a couple of centuries in the build-up to the Vizag test match. That 151 that he hit in Ahmedabad summed up the fact that, okay, Patidar was ahead of Sarfaraz. Sarfaraz may have hit 3 centuries, but gotten the right selection for the right place, worked in favor of Rajat Patidar, and that is why he grabbed it, and that's why he's come here. 2 tons that he had against the England Lions. Plus at the factor that he's played a lot of domestic cricket. As we pointed out in the post-match, the individuals who've done well, is it any coincidence that they have done well in the Ranji setup, in all the other domestic setups also? This is an indication that please, going forward, reward domestic players, but you can't reward all of them. Reward the right players, and in this case, Patidar seems to have made a good start in that sense. Now remember, in the final session when you looked at it, it was the Patidar and Jaiswal partnership which really stole the show. Jaiswal obviously was on a different level altogether with the stroke play today. But what did Patidar learn from watching Yashasvi Jaiswal? Remember, this is a 30-year-old seeking inputs from a 20-year-old who's already played 6 tests more than him. What was the input and what did he want to learn? What did Patidar want to learn from Jaiswal about that knock? He stated, the way he took on the bowlers, Yashasvi, it is a special ability. I would like to learn the way how he plays his shots. How does he back himself to do well against most of the attacks that he comes? I mean, he was incredibly unlucky that he didn't get a well-deserved 100 in Hyderabad. But at the same time, Jaiswal is also learning the hard way. When it's pressure, he does come into a shell. The knock of 15 that he had in the second innings was a clear indication he had gone into a shell. And that's what led to his downfall. He course corrected, started sedately, but made up for it. The kind of shots, the cut, the lofted drive that was there, luckily there were no fielders there. Jaiswal ensured that 98 of his runs would be made in boundaries. And the ability with which he is able to execute those shots is something Rajat Patidar wants to learn at this point in time. So overall, if you look at it, Patidar's knock was quite good in a certain way. Yes, Jaiswal stole the show, as a stat highlighted. Remove that 179, it was 157 for 6. It was a really poor display from the inexperienced middle order, with Patidar kind of shining through. I mean, he played the reverse sweep, he looked assured, but that dismissal at the end, really, he did say, I should have had a bigger knock. He does admit that he's only one test away from being dropped. He does admit with a bit of disappointment that I should have had a bigger knock. So one hopes that in the second innings he does get his chance and he scores a big one, and hope that he can make it for the third test. But looking at the way, if KL Rahul is fit, if Virat Kohli is back, there is no way you're fitting in a Rajat Patidar unless you want to drop a Shreyas Iyer. That is the only way possible at this point in time. So let's hope that Patidar gets another chance. Otherwise then 32, decent, but not had that impression that, oh, he could have done something more. It's again a case of what if? What if he had scored a big knock? Thank you so much, folks, for joining us for this live. We'll be back with more updates on sports rate at the bell icon so you know when we go live. And don't forget, we're on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram as well. Bye-bye.